Michael Johnson, it's great to have you here, man. I'm making you, by the way, there's no alcohol in this. I'm just going to do some sparkling water and some fresh juice, a little bit of agave. Be nice and refreshing for you in case you get a little thirsty on this show. But it is great to have you here. The guy you always worry about in the crowd is the guy who's very quiet. The loud guys crack me up. They're never really a threat. They think they are, but they're not. But you're just this nice guy, super sweet, super friendly. But the way you carry yourself, there's no part of me that didn't know you knew some shit. And then I got to know you a little bit, and I found out you don't know some shit. You know all the shit. Matter of fact, you're the guy that teaches other people how to know the shit. So there you go, brother. Cheers.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Appreciate it.
So that's my intro to you. I'd see you almost every single day just walking around the neighborhood. Nicest guy on the planet. I knew for a fact you knew really some shit. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I'll put it by the sage here. I feel like you're trying to get rid of my evil spirits.
It's going on here. Positioned on purpose, brother.
Okay, yes, purpose. Right towards me.
Exactly right. But that's my intro to you, and then I got to know you a little bit. You're still a great guy.
Thank you.
Unbelievably nice human being. Could kill somebody with a potato if you wanted to. I know that now too. But I'm fascinated by your career, what you do now. And I know you do it around the world, and I want to talk about that. But I wanted to give you the opportunity because I love story arcs, right? Where did it all start for you? I mean, you've gotten yourself, you're definitely a fighter, definitely a trained fighter, definitely teach people how to fight and defend themselves well. We're going to talk about all of that. But I'm always interested in the genesis. Where did it start? Like, how did you get into this stuff?
My grandfather was a black belt in judo and jiu-jitsu back in, he started our family in the martial arts back in the 20s. And then he started teaching my dad, I think at 11 or 12 years old. And then my dad, Steve Johnson, was one of the original students of Bruce Lee, lived and trained under him from 67 to 69.
I didn't know that.
Oh, okay.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so that's a part of our lineage. Yeah. And that was in the Chinatown location. And then I started studying when I was 2. But then I had a unique experience when I was probably around 5 years old, where an individual that was living with us, I'll give the best version of the story that's brief. They ended up putting a knife to my throat and telling me they were going to slit my throat and stuff my body behind the television so my family couldn't find me. Wow. And of course my dad finds out about it and almost kills the guy. But the short version is it shifts your mindset when you go through something like that at such an early age.
I imagine.
And you start understanding what it truly feels like to be helpless. And that is the ultimate technique. And I think people forget that. You always get these guys that are the know-it-alls, the loudmouths. Yeah. They're like, well, if it worked, it'd be in the UFC. Yeah. Guns work, and I don't see them in the UFC. Fair point. So maybe you should shut up.
Oh, you can say fuck here. You're good. You're amongst friends.
So, like when you look at that stuff, you just go, there's a heavy amount of ignorance that surrounds the industry. So, I went through that and started studying the martial arts even harder at that point. And I got in my first fight in 8th grade and thought I was just going to be the kingpin of this fight. The guy, I've actually talked to him as adults, and he helped shape my direction in martial arts, because I went out there and I'm doing this bullshit that, whatever it was, and the dude just hit me. I was like, and I was out. And he wrote a book and had a family, and then I came to. I was out for a minute. Yeah. And I remember one of the last things I heard as I was going out is my buddy in the corner was like, "Oh, he got you good." And just like, he broke my nose. Grade, wow. And it shifted the way I looked at martial arts, because I thought it was going to be like this TV type version thing, right? So continued going through that process, and then mom and dad got divorced. My dad, was doing his thing, and my mom ends up dating different guys, and one of these guys that was with us was threatening to kill us all in our sleep. And so that obviously, because he was living with us for a while, and I'd fight this guy like every other weekend. Wow. And keep in mind, at that time, I was probably like 14, maybe 12 to 14 years old. And I say this not as a victim type thing, but all of these things help create that story, right? Because they shifted the way I looked at techniques, the way I looked at any kind of tactic. And so this guy was like 6'4", 240, and I'm at the time 5'7" and 135 pounds soaking wet. So I I had to figure out a way to beat a guy that was bigger and stronger.
Yeah.
And so fast forward, start moving forward. I'm helping my mom run the school. And one of the guys that was there at the time, you know, because I was helping teach at the martial arts school because she got it in the divorce from my dad. And this guy comes in, he's like, why would I pay a 14-year-old to teach me how to do martial arts? And I was like, that's a fair point, man. So I'll make you a deal. Let's spar. And if you beat me, I'll pay you.
Wow.
And if you don't beat me, you pay me.
Yeah.
He paid me for about 2 years after that.
Wow, that's great.
You know, because it was just, it's the mindset. A lot of people think it's a tactic. And this is what frustrates me, I think, the most about martial arts and tactics in general is guys get so wrapped up into the style.
Yeah.
They get wrapped up into the art.
Yeah.
And if you look at it in truth, there is no art except for the art that works for you.
Well said. Really well said.
I've seen guys that are in karate, traditional karate, something that I was taught initially when I was a kid to kind of almost make fun of, right? And then you see that one guy, and he'll beat the shit out of you because it works for him.
Yeah.
And then you're like, maybe karate is not so ineffective, right? And then you see like all the different styles, even Tai Chi. My original Tai Chi instructor, Meng Cheng Lu, he was from mainland China, and they shipped him back during the whole thing that was going on with Los Alamos Labs, which sucked because he was a super brilliant guy, but they're trying to make a statement that like, you know, that they weren't gonna have spies here or whatever. And the guy wasn't a spy, he was just a beautiful soul. And he'd teach me Tai Chi Chuang, Yang style, and then he taught me Xing Yi with it.
Okay.
And I thought I knew good, you know, trapping hands until I was doing push hands with this guy. And then I started to flow, and then he just threw me.
Right. Yeah.
And I picked myself up, and he stood there and he's, oh, I'm not that good. I'm not that good. I'm like, well, you feel pretty fucking good.
That seems pretty good.
I just flew, right? Like he was amazing.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget what he contributed to my training. So now you fast forward, and I'm still doing the tactics and shifting, and this is kind of a part of the story that's a little different. You know, my mom is a unique character, and so I ended up leaving the business, and you know, that was my first lawsuit, was being sued by my mother.
Oh, wow.
And she trademarks everything that I've done.
Sure.
Right, that I built for the business, so I can't teach any of it. And honestly, it was probably one of the best blessings that ever happened to me, because I had to reformulate everything. I was like, all right, now that I get to start over, what works, what doesn't work?
Yeah.
And if I were to teach this, how fast could I make it work? Because I remember one time when I was a kid, I was watching something and a woman got attacked on the news, and it hurt my heart. It just, even to this day, I can remember what it felt like. And I was just sitting there and I was like, what good is all this knowledge if I can't give it to the world?
Yeah.
You know, like what good is this if like she can't protect herself? I can protect me, but I can't protect her.
Yeah.
I didn't even know who the woman was. And I remember going in my room and I just got on my hands and knees and prayed to God. And I said, you know, help me like be a protector for society. How do I help them?
Wow.
How do I bless their lives? And what I ended up realizing through time, because I'd asked to be present when these things happen, but the Lord made me present by giving them the knowledge to do it themselves. And so that became a big part of my drive and my mission, was how do I help people learn the fastest way possible with the least amount of training and actually be able to use it
To
the next day.
effectively defend themselves.
To effectively do it.
Yeah.
And so a lot of, especially the martial arts schools, they get pissed because this is how they make their money, right? They're like, you must stay here till black belt. I'm like, dude, I can teach you how to kill somebody in a half hour. Right? Like, I mean, 10 minutes. Like fighting somebody and not hurting them takes time.
Yeah.
Fighting somebody and eliminating them
Incredibly well said. That's incredibly well said.
is done easily, right? Like, I mean, how many, like, you can just look at case studies of a woman who got upset or whatever and she killed her husband.
Yeah.
How long did it take her to learn that? She go to a temple
Right.
to learn that? No, she got pissed, right? Hormones kicked in, she stabbed him, problem, right? Like, so we look at this from a stance of understanding the human frailty, but also the conviction of the mindset that it takes in order to accentuate that.
And you combine those, don't you?
I do.
Because I've heard you say something about that. I can't remember where. It was a conversation you and I had. But I'm keying in on what you said just there, human frailty, because I remember you saying to me, and it wasn't a flex. You're not a flex guy. I listen, I know flex when I hear flex. You're just, this is your mission, your purpose, this is why you're here, and I respect that, and I agree with it. But I remember you telling me that you have this ability to understand how to incapacitate a human being, and it's actually easier than you think.
Correct.
You weren't flexing. You were just telling me the facts. And I was like, I believe you do. I believe you do. Because we are frail. Can I ask you one more question? I'm going back a few minutes, by the way. You mentioned that when you were 5.
Yeah.
that changed the trajectory of you because you knew what it felt like to be helpless in that moment. So this is just I'm always interested in this particular perspective from someone like you. The average person walking around the street, man, woman, doesn't matter. How helpless are most people without realizing it?
Extremely.
Yeah.
Extremely helpless. And what they choose to do is, instead of being aware of it and embodying a solution, they choose to stick their head in a hole and pretend it doesn't exist.
Agreed.
And although I believe in energetics and the way that we can manifest things into the world, what I don't agree with is when people go, well, you're bringing that to you. You're bringing the negative energy to you. You're like, well, dude, you live on the earth with other people.
Yeah.
So how do you talk about your energy compared to this other guy's energy? He lives in his own world and you happen to be in the same coffee shop as him and he decides to lose it. What are you going to do then?
Right.
Was your energy just not strong enough? Like, you want to be ready. It's part of your responsibility as a man to be able to be a protector, a provider, and a prevailer.
I could not agree with you more about that. I got chills.
But we have this ignorance in our culture where we're like, well, you just think happy thoughts.
Yeah.
Did you watch The Secret? You're like, dude, that's bullshit. Like, here's the deal. That is one law among many.
Yeah.
But the reality is if you just sit there and think happy thoughts, you're going to lose all your shit.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you have to actually go do the work. Faith without works is dead.
It's a dangerous place, the world is. Nothing
So my
wrong with being
faith,
ready for that.
Yeah, but look at it. Like, even, and people will quote scripture on this. They'll say, well, Jesus said this. You're like, all right, cool. Jesus was also crucified by the people he was trying to save.
That's right.
Was it because he wasn't thinking happy enough thoughts?
Perfect.
It's not that.
Perfectly said.
It's that we live in a world with evil people and we live in a place that's not heaven.
Yeah.
Right? Like there is a darkness to this planet because of people's lust and their greed and their envy and their hate. And we don't need to dwell on it, but we also don't need to subject ourselves to its influence.
Perfectly said.
So when we sit down as men and decide to protect our families and provide for them, we have to provide both the physical safety for our woman and our children and the emotional safety for our woman and our children. And the emotional part I was not always good at, right? Like, I learned that over time.
Yeah, you and me both.
Because I still, back in the day, I'd just be like, oh, yeah, you're going to talk to me like that? Well, all your shit fit in this box? Get the fuck out. Right? Like, you look at that and you go, well, maybe that's not the best way to handle a relationship.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, fair.
And at the end of the day, I don't want to be that guy. So I had to work on that. Now, if you have a partner that's willing to work with you in that arena, then you guys can actually grow together and learn together. But when you look at men as a whole today, they embody being weak. And they're proud of it.
In our contemporary society, I couldn't agree more.
And
they're proud of it.
They're proud of it.
They're proud of it.
They're proud of it. Like, they will boast that they're like, oh yeah, no, my wife defends me. I'm like, fuck that. That'd be horrible. No wonder she doesn't respect you.
Yeah.
Can you, and there's pictures of, my daughter's got them on her phone, right? Like, of me with makeup on. I've got nail polish on. She's braiding my hair.
Sure.
Like, when your daughter comes to you and she's like, Daddy, can we braid your hair? You're like, fuck yeah, let's do this, right? You just sit there and she's doing her thing.
Yeah.
That's a part of strength. But she also knows that I'll kill whoever tries to hurt her if I had to.
Yeah.
Right? And that is a part that I think we've lost in manliness.
Yeah.
The harmony between your masculine and feminine energy and making them work together so that you can be a protector, provider, prevailer. You conquer your woman at love, right? Like, make her feel loved, but also be able to protect her, but also give her that safe space. So when she's on her cycle or whatever and she's losing her shit, that you don't have to sit there and be like, no, you don't even fucking talk to me like that. Well, dude, she's hormonal. She's got all these things firing off in her system all at once.
Yeah.
I don't know what that's like.
Sure.
It looks like it sucks. I can spend a few days being understanding, right? And lower down and understand this isn't her forever. Yeah. And you want to look at her from the stance of, a buddy of mine said this to me and it meant a lot to me. He said, have you ever seen a picture of like your woman when she was younger? Imagine you're talking to that girl.
Yeah.
You'd never talk to her as intently. And I think for men, especially guys that train, we get fixated on threat.
Yeah. Yeah, right, true.
And when she's in your face and she's like, fuck you.
It becomes threat. Yeah,
you're like looking at her like, like you're thinking of like threat. How do I take this out? And you can't. You have to look at this from a stance of like, the threat here is what's going on inside of her, and I'm her rock. Yeah. I can actually keep these tendencies from in myself. Like, I've got to be the strongest one here.
Sure.
And that can be hard, especially depending on the type of woman you have.
Yeah.
Right? But you want to lean into that. So
how old's your daughter?
She's 15.
15.
Yeah.
I'll go off script for a second. And he's in the room. This is going to be probably a little awkward for him. I'm going to tell you something right now. One of the greatest joys of my life is that my daughter has chosen a man who fits the bill across the board.
Nice.
He carries her well. He's great to her. He's patient. He's kind. But he will rip the head off of somebody who hurts her.
As he should.
As a dad,
As he should.
It's my favorite fucking thing in the world.
One of the things my daughter told me when she was little, she said, "Daddy, how do I find a man like you when I get older?" And to me, that was such
Great
an honor.
compliments.
It was a huge compliment. And I was sitting in my head, and then part of me was like, well, we got to push out more content. We got to get more guys like me. We got to get more guys out there thinking a certain way.
Yeah.
And I think that there are good men. And I think a lot of good men are sick of dealing with what's going on right now. So, I mean, that's a topic for a different day.
It's a big topic,
But like, there's a lot happening in our country and in our world where men are being so driven down that they're like, this is how you should be as a man. And I'm like, dude, stop letting people that aren't men tell you how to be men.
You know, this topic has come up in episodes previous, and it seems such a deviation from what we do here at the Spiritual Speakeasy, but the whole concept of toxic masculinity, I've talked about it before openly. It's nonsense. If a man presents in a toxic format, it's because he's weak. He's weak.
He's untrained.
Right.
You know, because we're not cultured. Like, think about what we do in school. We don't teach people how to be independent. We teach them how to be good employees.
Right.
And then we tell men, show me the rite of passage for men in this country.
That's a big one for me too.
There is none.
Yeah.
Like, you turn 21, you go to a strip club in a bar and you get a venereal disease. That's not a rite of passage.
In Vegas.
Right. Yeah, in Vegas nonetheless. And then you find out what happens in Vegas doesn't stay in Vegas. Right?
It comes right home with you.
It comes right home with you, and you got to have a lot of balms and creams. And so that becomes a problem in of itself. So it's like, if you look in Africa though, they're like, hey, here's a turtle shell, here's a stick, beat the shit out of each other.
Yeah.
There's not really a winner or a loser. And that's why I ended up, part of, what helped shift me was getting into the underground fights against the Dog Brothers, because that was, at the time I was going through a scenario, and a woman that I really loved and cared for, I found out she was cheating on me, and there were some other details in there, but I'll leave those out for this specific topic.
Yeah.
And I remember Felix Valencia, who he was an amazing human being as far as tactics go, God rest his soul. And something had happened, and I was not in a good headspace, right? And I think somebody cut me off, and I'm like climbing out of the car to like go fight him. We're still driving, by the way. Yeah. And Felix is sitting next to me. He's like, "Hey, Michael, you might have some anger issues." Right. And I was like, "Fuck you," right? Like, I'm still angry. And he's like, "No, there's this group of guys, they fight with sticks and chains and bullwhips, and there's no rules and no judges and no refs, and you basically can try and kill each other. And nobody goes to prison." I'm like, sign me up, right? And that was my initiation into it. And I thought, man, and that's how I met Arlen, and reached out to Arlen because I found out he was one of the founders of it, and said, "Hey, can you come train me? I'd love for you to train me." And so he prepped me, and we had some students that went in the first one. And again, the same mindset is the psychology. Yeah. The conviction that you hold in your heart will supersede any tactic. And people forget that.
Yeah.
They forget that. Like, this is what true faith is. It's learning how to believe without understanding how. Yeah. The how doesn't matter.
Blind conviction.
It'll get there.
Yeah.
But part of what shifts your state of presence is the belief. Yeah. So I'll give you an example. If I was on drugs right now, and say Flocka, you've heard of that, right? Tell me what technique you're going to use against me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And so, the right technique would work. That guy's got a different setup. Yeah. There was a guy, and he was on Flocka, and he was eating another homeless man under a bridge. They called the police. The cop comes. He's got a 45. He tells the guy, he's like, "Stop eating that guy." Right? And the dude's still alive while he's eating him. Yeah. And the guy looks at him and growls at him. He's got I'll spare all the details because, I don't know where your podcast is going. So the guy looks at him and growls. Yeah. Cop's like, now, pulls his gun out, draws it on the dude. Dude gets up, walks towards the cop. Cop emptied 2 magazines on this guy and finally stopped him with a headshot. Which technique's gonna work on that guy?
Yeah, you're gonna kick him?
You're gonna kick him?
Yeah.
You're like, my jujitsu's better than yours. Yeah. At that point, you're dealing with a different world. Yeah. So you have to have enough conviction in you that you'll go no matter what. Yeah. And this is why, when I prayed that prayer when I was a kid, and I was like, Lord, show me how to be the most effective instrument of combat warfare that I can be on this earth and bless people's lives. And I thought he was gonna make me like a Navy SEAL or something like that. Never went to the military. But the Lord used me in other ways, and I got to train the military. I got to train different special forces groups outside of the US, and even guys, I got to work with some unique guys in the US and interact with them. And what I found, again, was state of being is the ultimate tactic. Okay. Because your body, when you think of thought, it releases chemicals into your body, right? As it is in the mind, so it is in the flesh. Yeah. Now it helps if you have tactics with that. But think about where tactics came from. Some guy that had the right state of mind and presence, some other guy was coming at him and he did something.
Yeah.
And then people looked at that and said, how'd you do that?
Yeah.
He's like, well, I don't know. Let's rewatch
I'm not
it.
sure.
Yeah. You know, and then they watch and they're like, oh, well, this is it. Here's how we can refine it. So techniques come from the violent tendency or the defense tendency to execute something in real time.
Yeah.
Now, the world today, and you just look at my videos and you'll see the comments of all these guys, this guy's a charlatan.
Yeah.
Like I'm out there trying to like hit some kind of spiritual ministry of warfare.
Right. Yeah.
You know, that's a really cool, we should put that on a t-shirt. Spiritual ministry of warfare. That's
we'll co-brand it.
Yes, Cobra Kai, you know. But there's a level of just truth.
Yeah.
And I think the problem is a lot of men want to feel like they're protected because they have their art or their system.
Sure.
Instead of actually knowing what it means to function under pressure.
Yeah.
And there's a level that you need to be able to think and fight.
Yeah.
You got to have the cardiovascular to do it. You'll get some guy who's 300 pounds. He's like, well, I'm an 8th Dan and I've done this. I'm like, dude, you're going to fucking die of a heart attack us in a fight, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, forget your tactics. All I got to do is dance around you and you're going to have a seizure, right? Like you have no cardio.
Yeah.
So, and this was a big push that Bruce had. So when you start to understand the psychology of it, it makes a lot more sense.
It does.
How do you train people fast? And so I started studying guerrilla warfare and terrorism and things that where people with not a lot of skill can make a maximum impact very quickly. Yeah. And like counterterrorism, I should say. And then got a degree in criminology and political science. And started creating this beautiful blend of fast, effective defense mechanisms.
Yeah, but you ground it with philosophy. That's one of the reasons I love you so much. You ground it with philosophy. I think that's one of the biggest missing links. And I agree with you what you said. And I agree because as you say it, I'm like that. I'm agreeable. It's not like I thought that first. I hear you and I'm like, I'm agreeable to that. So I like that you're saying this. The mentality matters probably above everything else. 100%. So I agree. And the 100%. Fact you bring that into what you teach, I think is imperative.
Yeah.
I had a boxing coach one time. It was just an offshoot comment, but it never left me. He said, it's really hard to beat a man who doesn't believe he can be beat.
Correct.
It's a really strong statement.
Think of the samurai. They enter into warfare as though they're already dead.
Right, yeah.
It's hard to beat a guy that already thinks he's dead. He's not afraid of death.
That's right.
I look at Christianity the same way. If we died with Christ and we resurrected with Christ, then we've already conquered death, so you can't beat me.
Yeah.
All you can do is try to damage my body.
Right.
In my mind, and it's funny because I was talking to this Navy SEAL, and I said, I always kind of felt in my head like that I missed out on something because I didn't like go to war and I didn't, actually become a SEAL. And he goes, you had your own war. And you fought your own battle.
Yeah.
And in a lot of ways, it was more intense than most men that even go out to battle.
Yeah.
He's like, you started as a kid and you fought and conquered all these things. And I was like, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
He's like, and I can tell, he's like, there's certain men, and he said it in his own way, but he was basically saying like, there's certain men you can tell, they're a little nuts, right? They'll just keep going. Yeah. He's like, you have that look.
Oh, 100%.
And I was like, cool.
100%.
Well, that's because I am that person.
It's what I saw the first time I met you. I was like, beyond the gentlemanly, clearly nice man. I'm like, this guy's fucked up in the best way possible. In the best way possible.
Another t-shirt idea. You guys are writing this stuff down, right? Like, we got all the t-shirts that we're going to be
This
launching.
guy's fucked up. No, but that's a funny way of saying what I actually felt, which is this guy right here, Michael Johnson, belongs on the list of people I would never want to fight.
There's guys like that I've met overseas and also here, and they've never even studied a martial art.
Yeah.
But they have the go mentality.
Totally.
And you're going to have to kill them to stop them.
That's right. Yeah.
Those are the kind of guys I like. I like being around men like that. Sure. As long as it's controlled, obviously.
Of course.
You don't want to just be like, I said fucking almond milk. Right? And the guy loses his shit because you put whole milk in his coffee. But you want to be around men that have containment.
Yeah. Right? Containment's the right word.
Containment, but also capable of violence.
100%.
And we can't just stick our head in a hole and ignore what's going on in our world.
Yeah.
There's going to come a time, and it's going to be very soon, and you will be called upon.
You have no choice.
Will you be able to show up for the calling?
Yeah. I mean, listen, I'm not even trying to pretend I'm in the same category as you, because I'm not. My years of experience in fighting and bodyguarding are what they are. I'm significantly less helpless than most people. That's where I'll draw the line on that. But I'm 52. I still train daily, and I robustly work out. I push limits on myself, and I get asked questions all the time, which is like, you're 52. Like, why are you still doing it so hard? I always have one answer.
What kind of question is that?
It's a dumb question to me.
Yeah.
But my answer is always, because until the day I die, I'll be able to protect my family. Period.
100%. And until the day I die, I don't want to die before then.
Yeah. Well, right. Yeah.
So how do we die less often?
I love that phrase. Hard to kill.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I don't mind. It's not that I'm incapable of losing a fight,
Right.
but I choose to be hard to kill.
Well, and here's a soundbite for you, right? Like most men, again, if you look at comments online, you'll see them go like, pew, pew, fight over. You're like, motherfucker, you're never even going to get to your gun.
Exactly. People don't realize
You're going to have to roll yourself out of the way because your belly's rolling over it, you know, and you think you're going to get to your gun.
Yeah.
I want you to think of something for a second. You've seen a squirrel.
Yeah.
If a squirrel ran up your leg and attacked you,
Yeah.
how frustrating and unbearable would that be?
Yeah.
And how good would be your defense against it?
Absolutely useless.
Okay, now let's give that squirrel crack.
Yeah. Right.
Okay, now same crackhead squirrel runs up, and now he just found out his other squirrel chick was cheating on him. Right?
So he's pissed.
So he's pissed.
Right.
And now you're fighting him.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I haven't seen the UFC, so it's not going to work.
Right.
No, that little fucker's going to tear you up.
Yeah.
Right? And so this is what we forget. It's the intention of what's going on and the amount of violence that you can deliver in a short amount of time is impactful as you can.
Yeah.
And now that same squirrel, he doesn't care if he dies.
Yeah.
In fact, he sees that world as an opportunity.
Yeah.
He's done with this world. He's sick of this world. This world's hurt him.
Yeah.
So he actually hopes that you kill him in the process, but he wants to take you with him.
Yeah.
Tell me who's going to win that one.
Yeah. Squirrel every time.
The squirrel every time. So you should be a rabid squirrel on crack when you fight.
Yeah.
And
That's
you
a great
should
analogy.
think that way.
Yeah.
Right?
I forget the exact quote, but it's something parallel to a good man.
T-shirt idea.
There you go. Yeah, somebody write this down, right? But no, it's a good man is capable of extreme violence, but knows how to keep it under voluntary control.
He's contained.
Yeah.
And then he can also sit down with his daughter
Yeah.
and play My Little Ponies.
Let her put makeup on his face.
Makeup on his face and everything else. And I don't care how big and bad you are.
Yeah.
If you can't do that with your daughter, I don't think you're big and bad.
Yeah.
It's the capability. What makes you dangerous is your ability to turn it on and turn it off as needed.
Yeah, as needed.
If not, you're just a threat
Yeah.
to society and to your family.
Right.
Right? So there's accelerators to that, right? Like alcohol.
Yeah.
There's drugs.
Liquid courage.
Things that can mess you up even more and mess up your containment. So it's also important to be disciplined. And this is why you'll see me talk about this also on my channel, is that I don't think men should just be running around having sex with everything that has two legs.
Yeah.
You have to have discipline. If you can't control your desire and your urge, how can you control your discipline?
Right.
This is part of your power. It's sexual transmutation.
Yeah.
You learn how to
that's
channel that energy into something else.
It's a beautifully important part of many philosophies that we don't talk enough about in contemporary society. Sexual transmutation. It becomes a disciplined practice.
Well, and I think what disgusts me the most is, and you may get this as well, is that when guys come and they sit down because they see you out somewhere and then they're like, bro, guys like us.
Yeah.
Guys like you. And you're like, well, we're not. And I'm not trying to be a dick, but we're not the same, because what they'll start talking about is how they went to golf. And then after golf, they went and had sex with 5 different women that week, and how they could have any woman. I'm like, there's not us.
Yeah.
I don't fall into that category, neither do I want to.
Sure.
And also, I think as you get older, although I've felt like this most of my life, wanting to have a wife versus a girlfriend.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to hook up with all the women. I'm a germaphobe, dude. I made you wash your hands before you made my drink.
I was happy to do it.
You think I'm gonna go stick my penis in a bunch of random vaginas?
Fair.
Like that's
T-shirt.
T-shirt idea.
No penis and random vaginas.
100%. Right? And to me, that's gross.
Yeah.
I don't want that life.
Yeah.
When a girl's like, oh, I've been with a lot of guys, I'm like, that's gross.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
Yeah. Right.
I want to be in a position where there's a very specific ordeal.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I'm here for you, and I care about your attention, not all the thirsty dudes on Instagram.
Yeah.
I care about our family, not all the thirsty dudes on Instagram. And a woman that wants to make you better, not fight with you because she's addicted to being a victim, and try and make you a worse man because she needs that importance of being like, oh, he's so bad. You fucking poked him for 10 weeks, and then he yelled at you, and you're like, he's mentally abusive. No, you're a
toxic
fucking
masculinity.
bitch. That's not toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
The dude finally looked at you and was like, cut your shit.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
And you can try and be as patient as you can, but there does come a point with every man that if you keep fucking pushing, he's going to be like,
I'm going to speak to that.
You got to walk away from
I'm
it.
going to speak to that, and it's going to be so controversial for so many people who hear it.
Good. It's probably true then.
Yeah, well, I think it's true. You said every man has a point. You can't poke him that far.
Yeah.
I think every man needs to have that point. And I
agree.
don't mean consistent just with a woman. I mean, every man should not allow themselves to be poked past
You
the
have
point.
to have boundaries.
Yes.
And I didn't realize that previously.
Yeah,
I was
same.
like, you know what? Like if I love somebody, maybe I should let them go a little further. And here's what I realized about when you let people go a little further.
Yeah.
They go further than
yeah,
that.
right.
And they'll keep going.
Yeah,
and they'll
inches to
keep
miles.
going.
Yeah.
And at some point you can't look at yourself in the mirror and respect yourself anymore.
Yeah.
And I hit that point at one point in my life. And I said, you know what? I love you, but I love me more and I love my peace more. And I'm walking away from this shit because you're not going to do this to me.
Good for you.
Like this is bullshit. And this can't be what God wants for me.
Yeah. Protect your peace.
You got to protect your peace.
Yeah.
And you sit down and you go, okay, what's a beautiful version of my happiness? And it's not being harangued for fucking 10 hours a day.
Yeah.
But like, you know what else I don't like about you? I'm like, oh, well, fuck it, let's go. Like I've got this laundry list over here. Hold on, what else you got?
Yeah.
Like at some point you're like, dude, you're better than this, shift it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or get the fuck out.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I mean, there's a point, and that's more for you.
Yeah.
Like, I wear this shirt, and you've probably seen me. It says, don't be a little bitch.
Yep.
People probably think I'm talking to them. It's really as a reminder for yourself. Don't be a little bitch.
You told me that.
Yeah.
The first time I saw you in Press Coffee across the street wearing that shirt, I said, that's a great shirt. You said, it's a reminder for me.
Yeah.
You told me exactly that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a reminder for me to actually step into my power as a man.
Yeah.
Right? And also not be afraid. Like, men are afraid to fight now.
Yeah.
You know why? It's unpracticed.
Yeah. They've not been exposed to
They
it.
haven't been exposed to it. I don't think they're weak. I don't think they're bad.
Sure.
I just think that they're unpracticed.
Yeah.
We need, and I throw these things out where I say, put yourself in controlled violence so you know how to handle it when it comes.
Right.
And you can always tell the dudes that just don't get it because they're like, and how do I do that?
Yeah.
Go fight.
Yeah. Right.
Like,
And
I don't
fight.
know how else to explain this to you,
Yeah.
dude. Like, go fight
Sure.
in a controlled environment. We're not going to die. So when you do have to have it happen, you're not sitting there with your wife and she's now getting the shit kicked out of her, and so are you.
Yeah.
And you don't know how to handle that because you've never been punched in the face before.
Yeah.
We used to do a thing in high school. My buddy, I still love this guy. He's a good person, Gino. In our fights, before I'd fight, I'd be like, hey man, go. And he just hit me in the face as hard as he could.
Yeah.
I wanted to get it out of the way with a friend
Yeah.
and not
Yeah.
the enemy.
Where there's bad intentions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the dude who I'm ready to fight is looking at this and he's like, I thought we were fighting.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, we are.
Yeah.
And then he was so funny. Gene would always be like, Mike, you want me to hit you again? I'm like, no, man, I need something left for the fight.
Yeah,
you know?
right. Yeah.
So-
I have to have some left.
yeah, I have to have some left here. And I started doing these money fights in high school because my mom needed more money.
Yeah.
And so I found these guys came to me and they're like, hey, we'll pay you to fight. We do a pool and we bet on you. I don't know what statute of limitation is. I'm sure this is illegal. But I mean, that was like 30 years ago, whatever.
Right.
But, like they were like, if you fight,
Yeah.
we'll give you the pool. And I figured for me, it was like, I can help my mom pay the rent.
Yeah.
We lived in the mountains, so we needed the septic system and
Yeah.
all that jazz, and she needed money. Of course, she found out about it, and then she beat me.
Yeah.
I was like, this sucks.
Yeah,
You know,
right.
I'm trying to help here. But I remember she had asked me, she's like, I can't believe you're doing this and that you're fighting for money. Which was ironic to me because like, I don't know where she thought I was getting this money from.
Yeah.
I was obviously trying to help. And when I told her why I was doing it, she broke down and started crying.
Really?
And that hit me
Yeah.
because I was like, crap. She's like, she felt like such a failure.
Oh, it makes sense. Yeah, I get that. I see that.
And I was like, no, you're not a failure, man. You're trying to make something work in a man's world.
Right.
And that's tough for a
Yeah,
woman.
sure it is.
Right? She did the level best that she could. And there's those things that happen, but she's still a good woman.
Yeah, of course.
She just, women, when they get put under so much, I think it rewires them. And if you keep pushing a woman and you take a Pinto and you make it pull a whole truckload of whatever, it'll do it. It wasn't designed for it.
Right.
You're going to wear that thing down and you're going to fuck it up in the head.
Yeah.
And I think that sometimes that's what happens when we don't realize our role as guardians, as men, is to help guide that direction. Not, if you saw the one I did on the James Bond thing where we're sitting there talking and guys are like, so is the woman just not going to have any accountability in this at all?
Yeah.
It's not the point, dude.
Yeah.
You're that guy.
Yeah.
You're the guy that's the problem.
Yeah.
I don't care. A woman can't do anything with me if I don't let her.
Yeah.
What, she's going to take me and me?
Yeah.
Like, she doesn't have the strength to do that.
Sure.
Right? That wasn't a challenge for all of you crazies out there, by the way. I'm like,
Someone's saying challenge accepted right now.
no! Fuck! But like, there's this level of just like, how do you just, as a man, guard your own will?
Yeah.
Right? And they're looking for that guidance. And are there those women out there that are going to do whatever? Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I can't control them. I can control me, though.
You're absolutely, as we're talking and you're explaining this stuff, I'm counting the number of people who are going to misunderstand. And they're wrong, because you're right. This is universal energy and energetic laws. It's not about one being weaker than the other, being less important than the other. It's about both being greatest versions of themselves in those roles and those energetic flares.
Yeah.
Because I don't believe, and this is also controversial, I don't believe a man can be the greatest man possible in the absence of that strong feminine energy. And vice versa.
Dude, I think that there's a lot of truth to that. I think God sent a woman for a reason.
Yeah.
Right? He's like, it's not right that he's alone.
Sure.
If God says that, there's something to it.
Sure.
Right? So we have women to help complement our masculine energy.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And the reality is, when people go, oh, we're equal because we allow it. Now, this is going to be controversial.
Yeah, I've heard that before from somebody. And before you say it, when I heard it on a video, I was like, God, that's controversial. But then I'm like, I'm having trouble disagreeing, though.
Yeah.
Because if you break past what's going to be a flary thing to hear and you start to think it through, you're like, actually, there's a lot of sense there.
Right. Well, look, dude, who do you think they're going to send to enforce the law?
Yeah, of course.
They're not going to send a bandwagon of women out here to go enforce that belief. They send men to enforce that belief. And maybe there's one or two girls. And I'm not trying to be a dick here. I'm just talking about what happens.
Sure. Yeah. Historically, true.
And historically, it's actually good that we protect women. It's good that we have that ability to help guide that focus.
Yeah.
And I do believe that we should protect a woman's voice to an extent. And when I say to an extent, it's not that you should put them down. It's not that you should, but like when you start going off over here, my job is to help act as that umbrella against the world so that you're not getting disillusioned. I mean, look at the stuff women are putting in their face now. Look at the whatever it is, the body dysmorphia that women go through. That's a man's job, is to try and help keep that from happening. Because in her head, she's like, I need to put more filler in. I need to put these, I saw a girl the other day, I don't know what she was trying to prove, but her rear end was sticking so far out, there's no way that was normal. I'm like, dude, you look like you just wrapped a bumper on your ass and you paid for that. What the fuck?
That's a t-shirt.
That's a t-shirt
That's
too.
a t-shirt. Somebody take that note.
And you're looking at this going like...
The whole crew's cracking up right now. This is awesome.
Yeah, I hear them. I'm just like, I'm just in my head, I'm going, at what point did your head go, it'd be a good idea?
Yeah.
I'm going to go get some toxic shit put in my ass because then people think I got the boom boom or whatever that is, that's, I don't know what's going on there, but it doesn't look normal.
Yeah.
I walked out of my apartment the other day and I saw her condo or whatever you call it. And I see this girl and I literally thought she fell down a flight of stairs.
Yeah.
All these different bumps. And in my heart, I was like, dude, I'm going to kick that dude's ass.
Yeah, right.
And then I was like, she did that to herself.
Yeah.
And I just thought, dude, somebody failed her.
Yeah.
Because she in her head, and I was dating a girl at one time that used to do the same thing. She'd sit in the mirror and she'd just pull her face back. She'd go like, look, isn't like this looks so much better? And I'd pull her hands down and be like, baby, stop it.
Yeah.
You're beautiful. She's like, well, I don't think I'm beautiful.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
And there was nothing I could do in that specific scenario to take her out of that state.
Yeah.
Because when you feel you're ugly on the inside,
Sure.
you'll try and do all sorts of stuff on the outside. And then once you go down that hole, dude,
so obviously you can't stop.
You can't stop it.
Do you teach some of this stuff in
my men's training,
programs?
Yeah, I mean, I only coach men right now for obvious reasons. Can you imagine having a woman in our group? She'd be like, fuck that, right? Like, she'd be all angry. So, and I wanted to give men a safe place to, as awkward as that sounds, but I wanted to give them, and maybe safe place isn't the word, more of a harmony where leaders can come.
Harmony, that works.
And they could be in a spot where they can go, look, everybody comes to me for answers, and I can't talk to my subordinates, and I can't talk to my wife, and I can't talk to this person, but I can talk to you guys, because you guys are leaders and powerful men in the community. I mean, we got guys in our group that make $100 million a year. We got guys that make $40 million. We got guys that make a couple 100,000.
Yeah.
It's fine. We don't care. We're like, you're here because people look to you and you need someone to bounce ideas off, and we want to make you mentally tough.
Yeah.
We want to teach you how to deal with all these inner demons.
Resilience matters.
Resilience is so important, and the consistency of that, and understanding that not making money, that's not a money thing.
Yeah.
It's a mindset thing.
It is. It's an energy mindset. I completely agree.
When I was homeless, It wasn't a money problem,
Yeah.
dude. It was a mindset problem. I was like, I was playing the victim. I'm like, look at what everyone did to me.
Yeah.
And then God kind of took me and was like, poof, poof, poof.
Wake up or
all
don't.
this was for you, man.
Yeah.
All this was done for you so that you could be better.
Yeah.
Now quit your complaining and start living the life I created you to
That
be as a
mentality
man.
matters so much.
100%. And there was parts of me when I first started where I was like, well, God, I haven't been in the military. I wasn't in special forces. My dad was a student of Bruce Lee and in every major martial arts magazine. How am I going to compete with that?
Yeah.
And God was basically like, I made you.
Yeah.
I made them. I made the special forces. I made the guys that created those magazines.
Sure.
Go live the life I've created you to live. And as I started doing it, I was doing things that were greater than anything that I thought was possible. God put that in me.
I mean, you touched on it, but it was such a glance over. I mean, you've been hired by special forces units around the world to teach this combat. It's
got to
impressive.
train-
Your resume is very impressive.
Thank you. I got to train the Ecuadorian special forces, the defense minister's bodyguards, and their Navy SEALs. And I went out there, and it was just a beautiful thing to be able to do it. And I think the whole course is like 4 or 5 hours. That's our thing. We teach quickly.
Yeah.
I trained the SEER School for the United States Air Force.
Wow. I
out in
didn't know that.
Fairchild.
Yeah.
I got to do that a few years ago under Colonel DePoma. And just the dude's an amazing ninja. I love that dude to death. I trained the 512th Rescue Squadron out of Kirtland Air Force Base. I got to train the 459th in Japan. I got to train the South African Tactical Response Team.
Yeah.
I've had the privilege to work with some really cool people. And the thing that I learned from each and every one of these groups / individuals that I got to work with was that there's a mindset to them. More than the tactics, because their tactics shift, and it depends on what they're doing, right? They're knife tactics, gun tactics, explosives, whatever it is they're doing, but the mindset is the same.
Yeah.
Never quit,
Yeah.
never give up, go until.
I'm connecting dots everywhere right now. I love that you just explained all of that, because for me, it's always like everyone needs to have a central ethos. And that ethos needs to be your North Star, your compass. This is what draws me up and forward. What I do tactically every day in my career as an entrepreneur, that can shift. It should shift a million times, perhaps. My job is to have as big a toolbox as I can possibly build so I can apply the tactic where it needs to be applied. But the North Star is the thing that never changes. So that's the mindset. This never quit, always take the next step forward. That's what you're seeing in the people you're working with at the highest levels of combat, basically.
Never die.
Yeah, never die.
Right? Like it's this, think of your innermost man.
Yeah.
God's spirit inside of you. When
Sure.
He breathed His spirit in you. They can find 97% of what they can find in stars inside of the human being.
Right. Yeah.
So you're literally the universe incarnate.
Yeah.
And then you have a divine spirit breathed inside of you. I'm sorry, what was your excuse again as to why you can't do something? So if you tap into that and you understand that all you need is within you right now,
Yeah.
God's spirit's inside of you,
Yeah.
you can achieve anything.
Sure.
Think of COVID. How many people thought, oh, my 5-year plan, and it was like, whoop,
Yeah.
it was done.
Yeah.
But those who had that tap into the innermost man,
Yeah.
they used COVID.
Yeah.
They
Of course.
activated it. accelerated
Pivot the
it.
tactic.
Yes.
Use what's in front of you.
100%. So if you're like, and we saw this in the underground fights where like guys would, especially on the 2-on-2s and the 2-on-5 fights, jiu-jitsu, wrestling are amazing skills. Everyone should have them.
Agreed.
Right? I believe that. It's funny because I think some people think I'm trashing on jiu-jitsu, and I'm absolutely not. I think it's an essential. I hired a jiu-jitsu guy for the underground fights because Eric Canals, top dog, just would, for the first 2 years of me fighting him, he just kicked the shit out of me. And he was doing it by taking me to the ground.
Yeah.
And I was like, this big old white dude on me,
Yeah.
just kicking the black John Wick. He just beat my ass, right? And I was like, well, this sucks.
Yeah.
And I went to Gustavo and I said, look, Gustavo, here's the deal. Dude, I need some training on the ground. And, in his Brazilian accent, he's like, well, Michael, what do you want to do? I mean, we white belt, we take you here. I said, I don't care about belts.
Yeah.
I know that just like, how everybody says in religion, there's like a core fundamental principle,
Yeah.
do to your neighbor as you would do to yourself, or do unto your neighbor as you'd like to have done unto you. All fighting has core 10, 12 moves,
Right. Okay.
period.
Yeah.
Whether you're looking at boxing, whether you're looking at Goryaragon, Tai Chi, Taekwondo, like there's a core foundation of everything. And so what we did is we took that core foundation and we compiled it into one centralized core shift.
That's fascinating.
Right? Yeah. And so what I told him is I said, look, I know this exists. I know there's only 10 to 12 moves, probably in jiu-jitsu, and everything's a spin-off of that, right? And he's all, well, yes. I said, good, teach me that.
Yeah.
And teach it to me until I can't fail in it. And he goes, well, what about, he'd asked me about belts. I said, I don't care about belts.
Yeah.
I have never cared about belts. Teach me until I can't get it wrong.
Perfect. Well said.
And I
like
just
that.
kept getting choked out because this fucker was big.
Yeah.
And he just, and I was like, how do I not get in this boat?
Yeah.
And we kept going and going. And I was paying him privately over and over again to get the same message repeatedly.
Yeah.
Now, most people, they don't get that concept. They want something new.
Yeah, right.
New isn't always better.
Yeah.
How many arms you got?
I got 2.
Legs?
2.
Head?
That's 1.
Is everybody else in the room in the same spot? Okay, that means that as human beings,
Pretty universal.
it's pretty universal. So why do I need a bunch of different techniques?
Yeah.
Until I'm fighting something different,
Yeah.
I use the same technique,
That makes sense.
right? And so you think about it, the way human beings come at you, wide and tight angle,
Yeah.
to the head, the core, and the base.
Yeah.
And I teach this in our approach. And that's why it's so simple.
Sure.
Like when I went to the SEER school, he was like, you're the only guy who's come out here and not tried to make us all black belts in martial arts.
I believe that actually.
He said, what you taught us, we can use today.
Sure.
We can use it immediately. And keep in mind, the first class that I taught only had like 4 or 5 people in it because we ran multiple classes throughout the day.
Yeah.
And they're like, this guy's not in the military. He can't teach us anything. So the first class was like 4 or 5 people. And the second class, we had like 50 because word traveled
Yeah,
fast.
I was going to say word spreads.
And we had like a little break and they're like, oh, okay, this guy's, he's a little nuts. So they came and they studied what we did and they were like, this works in real time.
Yeah.
That's the mindset. I don't want it to only work for martial artists. I don't want it to be something that if you're a dude who's, super fit, although that is something you need to have.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it only works if you're super fit.
Yeah.
It only works if you're 25. It only works if you're this kind of body style. What good is that when the enemy comes? You give him a rain check?
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
like, dude, I haven't studied that in my class yet. Can you come back next year? He's all perfect. Give me the rest of your money.
Yeah,
Like,
right,
you gotta have it
exactly.
right now.
Yeah.
You need it today.
Yeah.
So that was part of my mission.
Hey, I don't know if this is going to be an answerable question because based on everything, I'm wondering if for you the answer is going to be it depends. But I'm wondering your core system. Is it a incapacitate so you can flee, or is it incapacitate so he's not getting up?
It depends.
I was going to say it probably depends.
It
doesn't
depends.
Yeah.
I think it's relative because a lot of people talk about stopping the threat, but now let's take that squirrel on crack.
Yeah.
How do you stop that threat? You
Yeah.
put him down and then you back off and hope that it's good. You just gave him time to
No,
recover.
he's getting up.
He's
Yeah,
getting up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they don't see this in law, and you have to understand who writes laws. They're not fighters, they're lawyers.
Correct.
And some lawyers are fighters, but that's few and far between. So when you sit down and you look at this and you go, okay, we've got a bunch of people like in their 70s, 60s and 70s now in the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
They're functioning from a system of a world that maybe is not understood by them.
Right.
Especially when it comes to combatives.
Sure.
So the laws are not geared around the understanding that like some people, the only way to neutralize them is to take them out.
Yeah.
So I'm going to joint lock a terrorist.
Yeah.
What's that going to do?
Yeah. Well
The moment I release that, he's going to get up and kill as many people as he can.
He's going to fulfill the obligation of the mission. Yeah.
So sometimes the only way to stop the threat is to neutralize it completely. Now, if you're at a
absolutely.
wedding,
Yeah.
right, and Uncle Tom has just
Had a few too
drank
many.
too much,
Yeah.
you don't want to fucking throat check him and be like, I neutralized him. Like you're not getting invited back, right? So you have to have discernment, and that's why the mindset's also very important.
Yeah.
But now, if Uncle Edward pulled out a machine gun,
Right.
well, okay, well, I don't care that he's my uncle. I'm taking him out.
Yeah. Now we're getting neutralized.
Now we're getting neutralized. And it shouldn't matter on what people claim as an identity, right? So if I say, well, but I'm a Christian. Yeah, but if you hit that button and we all die,
Exactly.
it's still a problem,
Yeah.
right? So I don't care if he's Muslim, Christian, Catholic, whatever. You have to look at it from this bigger picture,
Right.
right? And so your measurements that you look at and you say, this is what I will act underneath, cannot be based off the way the world's trying to control you right now by segmenting you into
Really
groups.
well said.
It can't be because you're black or white.
Yeah.
It can't be, even with a male or female. I saw some girl's video the other day. She's like, there's these toxic men and they just love talking about self-defense, and if they had to put down a woman, I'm like, you're missing it.
Yeah.
It's not that you're a woman, it's that you're a threat and you're capable of that threat.
Of course.
So yeah, if she's sitting there and she's like, I'm gonna kill you, like, bitch,
Yeah, right,
right?
yeah,
Like it's
right.
not that.
Yeah.
It's more like she pulls out a gun, because when she pulls that trigger, the gun doesn't care that she's a woman.
I agree.
It doesn't care if it's a child. It doesn't care if it's black or white. When that trigger gets depressed, the end result's the same.
100%.
So now you start measuring your threat activation based off of what the threat is.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
100%.
And now all of a sudden we start looking at things like in a totality. you got to be careful how we use words now because everything's so switched. You pick a full spectrum approach in looking at it, right? So instead of going, oh, he's white, he's okay. Well, I don't know, man. He's stabbing people.
Right.
It's probably not okay.
Not okay.
Yeah. And then you'll meet like Muslim people that some of my real close friends are Muslim guys, and everybody's like, oh, they're bad people.
Yeah.
And they were there when no one else was.
Right.
And they're good. These guys are good human beings. You got to stop doing this blanket approach and start looking at life going, you know, dude, I'm going to base this based off whether or not you're a dick or not.
100%.
Or a threat.
If you're a threat.
Yeah.
That's it. The rest is immaterial. I
Correct.
agree.
Correct.
Completely.
And then also have that other perspective of the reverse.
Yeah.
Where people go, all women are beautiful. No, they're not. All women aren't beautiful.
Yeah.
Some of these chicks are ugly, and it's not from the outside. Yeah. It's from the inside.
Yeah.
They are so dark, and they're like, you're going to buy me things. I'm not going to buy you shit.
Yeah.
You need to actually shift your perspective. Like, what are you bringing to the table?
Yeah.
Well, I'm a woman. I don't give a shit. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm a man. So, like, what makes a woman? What makes a man? Like, what are those? You've got to start building that framework for yourself right off the cuff.
Well said.
And that'll tell you how to behave with people.
Yeah. Put the scaffolding in place first.
Correct. You need a framework.
I'm going to litter the show notes with all of your channels. You've referenced them a few times. I'm telling you right now, you can say no. I'm going to invite you back for season 3 because I feel like we just got started.
Yeah.
Where do people find you? On YouTube, IG?
On Instagram, it's at Shockwave Warrior.
Shockwave Warrior.
On Facebook, it's linked to my personal page now, which is Diliji Mind, Diliji.
Okay.
Mind is the next word. And then on YouTube, I think we're...
God, you sound like me.
I don't
when
know.
people ask me, I'm like, I don't know.
I think
Where's
it's
Alicia?
Michael Johnson,
Alicia knows.
Shockwave, something. Yeah, like we'll find the link and we'll make sure it's
We're going to put it in the show notes here
Yeah.
because I think your stuff is superlative, and I'm going to have you back for season 3.
Awesome.
You're great, brother. Thank you.
Well, maybe you want to check the response first.
Nah, listen, I like everything you had to say. That was beautiful.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me, bro.
Cheers, man.